The skies darkened over New Milwaukee on what locals would later call the Black Tuesday. It wasn't storm clouds that blocked the sun, but massive ships, silent as death despite their size. No warnings, no declarations, just the sudden absence of children. Tom Miller was chopping wood when he heard his wife scream. By the time he reached their farmhouse, 8-year-old Emily was gone. The window to her room hung open, curtains billowing in the afternoon breeze. A faint blue residue dusted the windowsill. Similar scenes played out across Earth. In Paris, London, Beijing, and thousands of small towns, approximately 2 million children vanished in a coordinated strike that lasted exactly 17 minutes. Admiral Jack Hayes stared at the casualty reports with stone-faced horror. 27 years in the United States Navy hadn't prepared him for this. His granddaughter Kate was among the missing. Initial satellite data suggests 42 ships, Lieutenant Ana Diaz reported, her voice betraying exhaustion. They've already left orbit. We have a trajectory? Hayes asked. Epsilon Eridani system. They're moving fast. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session while riots broke out worldwide. President Wilson addressed a shocked planet. Today, humanity faces its darkest hour, but I promise you this. We will find our children. Behind closed doors, the reality was grimmer. Earth's nascent interstellar fleet consisted of 12 vessels, none designed for combat. The aliens' technology was centuries beyond humanity's. Dr. Marcus Bell, head of xenobiology at MIT, studied the blue residue found at abduction sites. It's not just dust, he explained to the Emergency Scientific Committee. These are nanomachines. They can catalog genetic information. They were shopping, General Wu said flatly, taking the best specimens. In a suburban garage in Ohio, Robert Taylor, whose daughter Jane had been taken, pulled out military equipment he'd kept from his Special Forces days. He wasn't the only one. Former soldiers, hunters, and frightened parents began organizing. Government attempts to maintain order faltered against parental instinct. In Moscow, Dr. Irina Petrova made a breakthrough. The residue contains quantum entanglement markers, she announced to her colleagues. They're linked to something, possibly their ships. Hayes authorized Project Bloodhound, pulling in scientists from every field. Engineers worked to retrofit mining ships with experimental propulsion systems. The odds were impossible, but humanity had no choice. 3 weeks after the abductions, Mrs. Miller found Emily's stuffed rabbit in the woods behind their house. It hadn't been there during previous searches. Most peculiarly, it contained an embedded, metallic object no human had manufactured. When analyzed, it transmitted coordinates. It's a trap, General Wu insisted. Of course it is, Hayes replied. But it's also the only lead we have. As the first human warships prepared to launch, families held vigils. Politicians made speeches. But in quiet corners of military bases and civilian workshops, humanity prepared for war, unlike anything in its history. Tom Miller volunteered for the first mission. So did thousands of others. Few had combat experience, but all shared the same driving motivation. Their children were out there. We're outmatched in every way, Hayes told the first crew. But they don't know humans. They don't understand what they've done. The retrofitted freighter Rising Phoenix, humanity's first warship, broke orbit on December 1st. Its mission, not diplomacy, not scientific exploration, but something primal and terrible. Hunting had begun. The Overseer of Collection, Fleet 6, reviewed the data with satisfaction. The acquisition phase had proceeded with 98.7% efficiency. Only minor resistance had been encountered, nothing the drones couldn't handle. The native species, humans, possessed rudimentary technology and offered no meaningful threat. The specimens are ideal, reported Chief Biologist Vex. Their adaptive genomic structure exceeds projections. The Council will be pleased. The collection fleet traveled through hyperspace toward the Nexus, the massive station orbiting their homeworld, where specimens from 1,000 worlds were studied. Humans were merely the latest addition to their menagerie. Unusual brain activity. In Holding Tank 7, a technician reported, the specimens appear to be communicating despite separation protocols. Increase suppression fields, Vex ordered casually. Their primitive social structures require connection. It will fade, but It didn't fade. The children, despite being separated by transparent barriers, developed a system of gestures. Little Emily Miller taught others the sign language she'd learned in school. Kate Hayes, the Admiral's granddaughter, organized them into groups, sharing information about their captors. The aliens underestimated human children's adaptability. While they studied DNA, they missed the determination in young eyes. Meanwhile, the rising Phoenix followed the quantum trail. Captain Lisa Rodriguez, a former commercial pilot, navigated the unfamiliar hyperspace coordinates with increasing confidence. They expected us to follow, Tom Miller said, cleaning his newly fabricated pulse rifle. But they expected diplomats or scientists. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Not parents. The Phoenix's sensors detected the massive collection fleet ahead. 12 ships, against 42 alien vessels, each 10 times their size. We can't win a direct confrontation, Rodriguez acknowledged during the final briefing. So, we don't give them one. Team Alpha creates a distraction. Team Bravo boards their command ship. Team Charlie secures the children. Dr. Bell studied the alien transmissions they'd intercepted. Their internal security is minimal. They've never faced a serious threat to their collection operations. Complacency, Robert Taylor said, checking his tactical gear. That's our advantage. When the rising Phoenix dropped out of hyperspace, it immediately launched a barrage of nuclear missiles, not at the alien ships, but at nearby space. The resulting electromagnetic pulse temporarily blinded the aliens' sensors. Primitive weapons, the Overseer scoffed as alarms sounded. Deploy defense drones. But the missiles were merely cover for the 6 shuttles that detached from the Phoenix, each carrying 20 heavily armed humans driven by parental desperation. On the alien command ship, Jane Taylor, Robert's daughter, had mapped the ventilation system by releasing tiny paper airplanes through the vents. The children had created a detailed map of their prison, identifying guard rotations and control systems. When the first boarding team breached the hull, they found unexpected allies. 2 million children who had spent weeks preparing for rescue. Vex rushed to holding tank 7 as alarms blared. Increase sedation gas, he ordered. Too late, he realized the children had fashioned crude masks from bedding materials. The Overseer watched in disbelief as human combat teams systematically disabled his ship's systems. These weren't the primitives their reconnaissance had observed. These were methodical warriors fighting with inconceivable ferocity. They're just trying to recover their young, his second-in-command suggested. Offer to release them. The Council requires these specimens, the Overseer insisted. He didn't understand the fundamental error his species had made. They had taken children from a predator species that, throughout its evolution, had one overriding instinct: protect its young at all costs. As the alien crew prepared defenses against external attackers, they failed to secure against the threat already inside. Children dismantling systems from within, guided by Emily's signed instructions relayed throughout the holding tanks. The hunt had found its quarry. Admiral Hayes received the first transmission from the rising Phoenix with shaking hands. The operation was underway, but communication would be sporadic during the assault. Back on Earth, government struggled to maintain order as millions awaited news. The blue residue had spread, forming networks of nanomachines that scientists raced to understand. Dr. Petrova's team discovered they could hijack the quantum link, sending data packets through the alien communication network. We're inside their systems, she reported. Limited access, but growing. Meanwhile, aboard the alien command ship, Team Bravo encountered their first real resistance. The aliens, tall, spindly creatures with 4 arms and reflective eyes, deployed security drones that fired paralyzing beams. Robert Taylor took a glancing hit that numbed his left side, but kept moving. Section C7, he gasped into his comm. Heavy resistance. They're protecting something important. Captain Rodriguez coordinated from the Phoenix, which was taking heavy fire. Team Charlie, report status on child recovery. We've secured holding. Tank 7, replied Anna Wilson, a former Marine whose twin boys had been taken. Moving to Tank 8. The kids are helping us navigate. The alien crew, accustomed to clinical collection rather than combat, were unprepared for human battle. Tactics. Their technology was superior, but they lacked the desperate fury driving the human assault teams. In the command center, the Overseer watched with growing alarm. The specimen's progenitors are displaying unprecedented aggression. Initiate emergency. Protocols, Vex objected. The specimens will be damaged. The Council's orders override specimen preservation. The overseer cut him off, initiating a ship-wide purge sequence. Kate Hayes, watching through a ventilation duct, understood enough to realize what was happening. She signaled Emily, who relayed to the other children, "Danger. They're going to hurt everyone." The children implemented their contingency plan. In each holding tank, they created distractions. Some feigned illness, others started fires with materials they'd secretly gathered. As guards responded to these diversions, others escaped into the ship's maintenance tunnels, guided by maps they'd memorized. Tom Miller's team encountered these escaping children while en route to the central control system. His heart stopped when he saw Emily leading a group of 20 children through a narrow passage. "Daddy!" she cried, but kept moving as they'd planned. Find safety first, reunions later. Miller relayed their position to Team Charlie, then continued toward the central core with renewed determination. The overseer, realizing the extent of the human infiltration, activated the ship's final defense. A massive energy pulse designed to incapacitate all organic life aboard, except for protected command staff. Dr. Bell, monitoring alien communications from the Phoenix, decoded the command. "They're initiating some kind of ship-wide stun field." Rodriguez made a split-second decision. "All teams, deploy EMP devices now." The tactical teams activated the electromagnetic pulse devices they carried, designed by Earth scientists based on the alien technology found in Emily's stuffed rabbit. The pulses weren't powerful enough to disable the massive ships, but they created localized disruptions that temporarily nullified the stun field. In the chaos that followed, Robert Taylor's team reached Section C7, the Alien Research Center. What they found stopped them cold. Hundreds of stasis pods containing alien children. "They're collecting from everywhere," Taylor whispered. "Not just Earth." The revelation changed everything. This wasn't just about retrieving human children anymore. They had stumbled upon a cosmic kidnapping operation spanning multiple worlds. As the Rising Phoenix coordinated the increasingly complex rescue operation, Admiral Hayes received a second transmission, this one from an unexpected source. Another alien vessel had entered the system, but its design was markedly different from the collection fleet. "We are the Guardians," the transmission began in halting English. "We track the collectors. You are not alone in this fight." The battle for the children was only the beginning. Humanity had unwittingly stumbled into an interstellar conflict, but they had made an impression that would echo across the stars. "Don't take our children." The Guardian vessel dwarfed even the collection fleet ships. Its organic-looking hull pulsed, with blue-green energy as it positioned itself between the Rising Phoenix and the alien command ship. "We have tracked the collectors across 17 systems," the Guardian commander explained via translator. "They have taken from many worlds. We seek to end their harvesting." Admiral Hayes, receiving this information on Earth, convened an emergency council. "We have potential allies, but we don't know their agenda either." President Wilson frowned. "Can we trust them?" At this point, Hayes replied, "We have limited options." Aboard the command ship, the overseer was panicking. "Guardians here? Impossible! Their patrol routes shouldn't bring them to this sector for another cycle." The humans, Vex realized. Their rescue attempt must have triggered quantum alerts. Across the network, the overseer made a desperate decision. "Prepare for emergency translation. Abandon non-essential specimens." As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Captain Rodriguez recognized the signs of pre-jump preparations. "They're trying to run. All teams, head to extraction points immediately." The rescue operation devolved into a chaotic race against time. Robert Taylor's team, still in the research section, faced a moral dilemma. "We can't leave these other children," he insisted, gesturing to the alien pods. "We don't have capacity for them all," his teammate Dave Peterson argued. A message from the Guardian ship resolved their dilemma. "We will recover non-human specimens. Focus on your own kind." Tom Miller finally found Emily among the children, being guided toward the human shuttles. He swept her into his arms, tears streaming down his face. "I found you," he whispered. "I knew you would come," she replied with the simple faith of a child who had never doubted her father. Throughout the massive ship, similar reunions occurred amid the chaos of battle. Anna Wilson found her twins helping younger children navigate the complex corridors. Parents who had trained for weeks operated with mechanical precision, even as their hearts threatened to burst with emotion. The Guardian ship deployed smaller craft that attached themselves to the collection vessels, like remoras on sharks. Their technology can prevent the collectors from jumping to hyperspace, Dr. Bell explained, monitoring the alien communications. With escape impossible, the Overseer made his final stand in the command center. The Council will not accept failure, he told his officers. Initiate self-destruct protocols. Kate Hayes, who had been hiding in the command center ventilation system for hours, recognized the danger from the aliens' agitated movements. She crawled faster through the narrow ducts, reaching a communication panel the children had modified. Using a code they'd developed, she sent a warning throughout the ship. "Big boom coming. Run now." Captain Rodriguez received the translated message with horror. "All teams evacuate immediately. They're scuttling the ship." The collection fleet's self-destruct sequence was designed to eliminate all evidence of their activities. Ships, crew, and specimens alike. As countdown sequences initiated across the fleet, human rescue teams made final desperate sprints to the extraction points. The Guardians, with their advanced technology, created containment fields around the collection ships, trying to minimize the damage from multiple antimatter detonations. As the command ship began to break apart, the last human shuttle launched from its docking bay. Tom Miller, Emily clutched tightly in his arms, watched through the viewport as massive explosions ripped through the alien vessel. The rising Phoenix, damaged but operational, collected the returning shuttles one by one. Captain Rodriguez counted each arrival, the knot in her stomach loosening only when the final shuttle docked with seconds to spare. The shockwave from the command ship's destruction rocked the Phoenix, but its shields, enhanced with technology, reverse-engineered from the alien nanomachines, held firm. As the collection fleet disintegrated in silent, spectacular explosions, the survivors took stock. Over 1.8 million children recovered, nearly 200,000 still unaccounted for, presumably on ships they hadn't been able to board. The Guardian commander opened a direct channel to Captain Rodriguez. "The remaining young ones are aboard our vessel. We have experience rehabilitating. Collector victims." Rodriguez stared at the alien on the view screen. Vaguely humanoid, but with coral-like growths where hair should be. "Why help us?" "Because long ago they took our children too," the Guardian replied simply. "And like you, we hunted back." 6 months after what became known as the Recovery Battle, Earth had changed irrevocably. The children's return was celebrated worldwide, but they came back different, carrying knowledge of alien technology, language, and the disturbing revelation that humanity was not alone in being harvested. In a converted airplane hangar outside of Toronto, Dr. Marcus Bell led the debriefing efforts. The children absorbed information at an extraordinary rate during captivity, he explained to the UN Security Council. The aliens underestimated their capacity to understand and adapt. Kate Hayes, now working alongside adult scientists despite being only 11, had become an invaluable translator of alien technology. The collectors kept detailed records, she explained, manipulating a holographic display with ease. They've been taking children from developing civilizations for at least 40,000 years. Admiral Hayes watched his granddaughter with a mixture of pride and sorrow. She carried herself differently now. The carefree child was gone, replaced by someone with purpose beyond her years. They plan to return some of us, Kate continued, modified, implanted with control mechanisms, then reintroduced to influence human development in directions beneficial to their research. President Wilson, visibly shaken, asked, "And the Guardians? Can we trust them?" "More than the collectors, certainly," replied Dr. Petrova, who had been working with Guardian scientists. "They were victims themselves, generations ago. They've dedicated their civilization to stopping the collection program." The Guardians had established a base on Mars, respecting Earth's sovereignty while remaining close enough for collaboration. Their technology accelerated human development by decades in mere months. Meanwhile, the recovered children exhibited unexpected abilities. Emily Miller could intuitively understand alien machinery. The Wilson twins developed a form of telepathic communication, Thousands displayed enhanced intelligence, while others showed physical changes, improved strength, enhanced senses, accelerated healing. The collectors weren't just studying us, Dr. Bell concluded. They were augmenting us, experimenting with human potential. In the newly formed Space Defense Force headquarters, Tom Miller, now Major Miller, reviewed intelligence reports with Robert Taylor, who headed the Special Tactics Division. "The Guardians confirmed our worst fears," Taylor said. "The collectors weren't acting independently. They're part of a larger entity they call the Council, a collective of ancient species that treats younger civilizations as resources. And the Council knows we fought back," Miller added grimly. "Not just fought back," Taylor corrected. "We're the first species to successfully recover our taken children in Council history. The Guardians believe that's why the collectors self-destructed, to hide the evidence of their failure." Captain Rodriguez, promoted to fleet commander, entered with fresh reports. "The Mercury shipyards just completed our 5th Guardian human hybrid vessel," she announced. "The Valkyrie-class ships incorporate their quantum field technology with our weapons systems." "How soon until the fleet's ready?" Miller asked. 6 months, maybe less with the children's help." She paused, troubled. "Is it right, involving them in military preparations?" "They're already involved," Taylor replied softly. "Have been since they were taken." In Moscow, Dr. Petrova made a stunning breakthrough with the alien nanomachines. By reverse engineering their quantum entanglement properties, she developed a communication system that could transmit instantly across vast distances, far exceeding light speed. "We can coordinate with any ship, anywhere," she explained to Admiral Hayes. "The Council won't expect this level of advancement so quickly." The children themselves organized into specialized groups, sharing knowledge and developing new technologies, based on what they'd observed during captivity. They called themselves the Taken, and operated with a unity of purpose that unnerved many adults. Emily Miller, working with a team of 30 other children, developed a detection system that could identify collector ships by their quantum signatures. "They'll come back," she told her father. "Different ships, different tactics, but they'll come. And we'll be ready," he promised. What none of them could predict was how soon that promise would be tested. At a research outpost in the Kuiper Belt, the first warnings appeared. Quantum fluctuations matching collector signatures, but on a scale that dwarfed the previous fleet. The Council had noticed humanity's defiance, and they were sending something much worse than collectors. The hunt was about to enter a new phase. The Council Armada emerged from hyperspace beyond Neptune's orbit, 117 vessels arranged in perfect geometric formation. Unlike the utilitarian collection ships, these were elegant and deadly, their hulls inscribed with symbols that pulsed with energy. Guardian detection systems immediately alerted Earth's defense network. Admiral Hayes studied the tactical display with growing dread. "Those aren't collectors," the Guardian ambassador confirmed. "Those are enforcers, the Council's military arm." President Wilson called an emergency session of the newly formed Planetary Defense Council. "How long do we have?" "At their current velocity, 4 days until they reach Earth orbit," Hayes replied. Kate Hayes, now part of the tactical assessment team despite her age, pointed to anomalies in the data. "They're not rushing," she observed. "This is a measured approach. They want us to see them coming." "Psychological warfare," General Wu concluded. "They're confident in their superiority." On Mars base, the combined human Guardian fleet prepared for deployment. 12 Guardian vessels and 27 human ships, including the flagship Defiance under Commander Rodriguez, represented the sum total of Earth's interstellar defense capability. "We're outnumbered 4-1, Rodriguez acknowledged during the command briefing. "But we have advantages they don't expect," Tom Miller countered. "The quantum communication network, the enhanced children's insights. And they don't know we've integrated Guardian technology." Robert Taylor's Special Forces teams had already deployed to key positions throughout the solar system. "We've mined the likely approach vectors with quantum disruptors," he reported. "Not enough to stop them, but we can break their formation." Dr. Bell and Dr. Petrova led the scientific response, working with the children to analyze every scrap of data on Council technology. Emily Miller had become particularly adept at predicting alien tactics based on her observations during captivity. "The Council species believe in hierarchy above all else," she explained to the defense planners. "They can't conceive of a lower species challenging them successfully. That blinds them." The Enforcer fleet's approach remained measured and deliberate. Their first transmission came when they reached Saturn's orbit. "Civilization Earth," began the message in perfect English. "You have violated natural order by resisting collection protocols. Surrender all recovered specimens and submit to proper authority. Failure to comply will result in planetary sterilization." President Wilson's response was brief. "We are not specimens. Our children are not specimens. We will defend our world and our families." The Council commander's reply was almost dismissive. "Your defiance is noted and will be corrected." As the Enforcer fleet approached the asteroid belt, they encountered the first of Taylor's traps. Quantum disruptors, based on the technology found in Emily's stuffed rabbit, detonated in precisely calculated sequences, creating cascading disruptions in the aliens' formation. The human Guardian fleet launched from Mars, using the disruption as cover. Rather than a conventional military formation, they arranged themselves in what the children called a quantum mesh, a seemingly chaotic pattern that optimized their new communication system. The Battle of the Asteroid Belt, as it would later be known, began with a devastating surprise. The Council fleet, expecting primitive resistance, found themselves fighting an enemy that could coordinate instantaneously across vast distances. Human vessels blinked in and out of positions faster than Council targeting systems could track, using short quantum jumps developed from Guardian technology. On Earth, the children who had been taken, all 2 million of them, gathered in massive relay centers. Through a neural interface Dr. Petrova had developed, they shared a collective consciousness that processed battlefield information thousands of times faster than conventional systems. "The Council flagship has shield vulnerabilities at these coordinates," Kate Hayes announced, relaying information from the children's collective. Targeting data instantly transmitted to the Defiance, which executed a precision strike that penetrated the previously impervious Council defenses. For the first time in the engagement, the Council fleet showed signs of disarray. "They're adjusting tactics," Emily warned through the network. "Switching to swarm protocols." The Enforcer vessels broke formation, abandoning their rigid hierarchy for a more fluid approach. Dozens of smaller craft launched from their hangars, targeting the human Guardian fleet with weapons that distorted space itself. 3 human ships and 1 Guardian vessel were torn apart in the initial assault. Commander Rodriguez watched with horror as the Intrepid imploded, her crew of 80 lost in an instant. "They're stronger in chaos," the Guardian commander transmitted. "Return to structured formation." The tide of battle seemed to turn against the defenders. The Council's technology, developed over millions of years, began to overcome the initial surprise of human tactics. Then, Robert Taylor's team executed the operation they'd been preparing for months. Using converted collector technology, they launched a quantum infiltration of the Council's command network, a digital version of the physical infiltration they'd performed to rescue the children. For 17 crucial seconds, the Council fleet's communication was disrupted. In those seconds, the combined human Guardian fleet executed a perfectly synchronized attack on the 23 most powerful Enforcer vessels. The damage was significant, but not decisive. As the Council restored communications, their response was swift and terrible. A barrage of energy weapons targeted Mars base, reducing significant portions to molten slag. Admiral Hayes watched the casualties mount with growing despair. Despite their preparations, despite the children's insights, despite Guardian assistance, humanity was losing. And then, something unexpected happened on the quantum network. The children's collective consciousness shifted. Emily Miller, Kate Hayes, and thousands of others simultaneously accessed a deeper understanding of the alien technology, as if their enhanced minds had finally decoded something fundamental about how Council systems operated. "We understand now," Emily transmitted, her voice eerily calm. "We know how to end this." The children's revelation changed everything. Through their collective consciousness, they had discovered that Council technology relied on a specific quantum frequency, one that corresponded perfectly to the enhancements the collectors had made to the children themselves. It wasn't just experimentation, Dr. Bell realized as Emily explained their discovery. The collectors were creating a backdoor into Council systems. Not intentionally, Kate Hayes clarified. It was an unexpected side effect of their genetic tinkering. They modified us to be better specimens, but accidentally gave us the key to their technology. Admiral Hayes struggled to understand the technical details, but the tactical implications were clear. Can we use this to stop their attack? Better, Emily replied. We can take control of their ships. Dr. Petrova worked with the children to develop what they called a quantum override, a signal that would propagate through the Council fleet's network, giving them access to all systems. The children would serve as the conduits, their enhanced neural patterns providing the necessary interface. It's too dangerous, Tom Miller protested when he learned Emily would be among those directly connected to the alien network. The mental strain could kill them. We're already connected, Dad, Emily replied with the eerie wisdom that had become common among the Taken. We have been since they modified us. This just completes the circuit. As the Council fleet pushed past the moon's orbit, Earth's final defenses engaged. The remaining human Guardian ships fought with desperate valor, buying time for the quantum override to be prepared. Robert Taylor's special forces executed high-risk boarding operations against 3 smaller Council vessels, creating physical access points for the override signal. Commander Rodriguez, her ship badly damaged but still operational, coordinated the defense from the Defiance. Whatever you're planning, she transmitted to Earth, do it fast. We can't hold them much longer. In Toronto, 2 million children linked hands in vast circles, their enhanced minds joining in what witnesses described as a single thought with 2 million voices. Dr. Petrova monitored their vital signs with growing alarm, their temperature rising, neural activity approaching dangerous levels. We need to abort, she warned. They can't sustain this. We can, Kate Hayes insisted, speaking for all of them. We have to. The quantum override transmitted through the children, amplified by Dr. Petrova's equipment, and propagated outward in an invisible wave that reached the embattled fleets in seconds. Aboard the Council flagship, the Supreme Enforcer watched in disbelief as control systems throughout his vessel began to respond to unknown commands. Impossible, he hissed through 4-part vocal organs. No lesser species could penetrate our network. One by one, Council vessels went dormant, their weapons powering down, their engines stalling. The massive ships drifted in space, rendered impotent by children they had underestimated. Not all vessels were affected. 32 ships with older systems maintained their assault, concentrating fire on the remaining defenders. The Defiance took a direct hit that breached its reactor. Containment. Evacuation order, Rodriguez commanded, even as she directed the ship on a collision course with the largest remaining Council vessel. Get to the escape pods. In her final transmission, she addressed Admiral Hayes directly. Tell my niece I kept my promise. I found her son. The Defiance's sacrifice destroyed 3 Council ships and disabled 4 others. The remaining Earth Guardian fleet, though devastated, managed to contain the diminished threat. On Earth, the children maintained their connection for 47 minutes, long enough to secure control of 85 Council vessels. When they finally released their link, hundreds collapsed from the strain. Medical teams, prepared for this possibility, rushed to provide care. Emily Miller remained conscious longer than most, holding her father's hand as she explained what they had learned from the Council's databases. They've been harvesting species for millennia, she whispered, her voice weak but determined. Taking the young to study, modify, and control evolution throughout the galaxy. But they never expected one of their experiments to turn against them. In the aftermath, as humanity assessed the cost of victory, Admiral Hayes addressed the UN General Assembly. We've paid an unimaginable price, but today marks humanity's true emergence into the galactic community, not as specimens to be studied, but as a force to be reckoned with. The Guardian Ambassador formally proposed an alliance, not just with Earth, but with every world victimized by the Council. Together, we will free the collected children of 1,000 worlds, he pledged. Tom Miller, watching the proceedings, with Emily recovering by his side, thought about how quickly everything had changed. In less than a year, humanity had gone from isolated planetary existence to standing against the most powerful force in the known galaxy. What happens now? He asked his daughter. Emily smiled, a child's smile, but with eyes that had seen worlds beyond her years. Now we hunt them all the way back to their homeworld, she said. Not for revenge, but for all the children still waiting to be found. The captured Council ships would become the core of Earth's first true interstellar fleet. The technology they contained would advance human civilization by millennia. But most importantly, they provided star charts showing the locations of countless worlds where collectors had operated. Katie Hayes, reviewing these charts with her grandfather, pointed to a small green star. That's where they're keeping the others from Earth, the 200,000 they managed to keep. Admiral Hayes nodded grimly. Then that's where we go first. Across Earth, parents who had once wielded weapons out of desperate love now prepared for a different mission, one of liberation rather than revenge. The hunt had evolved into something greater, a crusade to ensure that no species would ever again know the terror of watching their children vanish into the stars. And somewhere in deep space, aboard the remaining council ships retreating to their ancient fortress worlds, the Supreme Enforcer sent a warning that would shake the foundations of their civilization. They were not merely specimens, they were predators. And now, they hunt us. End of aliens took our children. Unaware humanity hunts back.